Welcome to Falls Count Anywhere, where the wrestling ring meets the heart. Hosted by the gentleman Jody Powell, join us as we dive into the latest pro wrestling news and rumors, from the electrifying world of WWE to the inspiring stories of wrestling for Christ. This is your all-access pass to the action, the faith, and the hope. This is Falls Count Anywhere.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. I'm your host, the gentleman Jody Powell, and with me, as always, is my good buddy, deep in the Buchanan Laboratories. He is the mad scientist, Mike Buchanan. What's up, Mikey? How you doing, buddy?
We're doing okay, Jody. How are you?
And I'm hanging in there by a thread, but it's a strong thread. It's all right.
Better be.
Oh man, hey, a lot going on, but before we get into everything going on in the world of professional wrestling, and of course before we get to Fighting Tomorrow, what everybody wants to know is what's cooking in the lab, man. What you got going?
Well, some people may notice that I'm not my usual sartorial self with the dress shirt and tie. There's a reason for that ties directly into what we're working on in the lab.
Okay.
I miss the old-fashioned family dinners. I've heard too many people talk about it. I've seen too many pictures of it. Where the family dinner, there's a plate in front of you if you're able to clean everybody in front of or at the table, and then in front of them, they have their little devices, iPads, iPhones, whatever. We're trying to develop an FMP. If you're familiar with the EMP, which will fry everything, we're working on a localized, minimalized FMP. At a predetermined time, say 10 minutes before dinner, you activate it, all the electrical devices go off.
See, I thought you were going to say we were going to fry all your family, and then you'll have some peace and quiet.
Well, I'm sure there's people out there that might have that in mind and may be able to pull that off. We do not stand by that. We only endorse the ones I build, not for money, but because of safety and liability issues.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we'll just zap all the electronic devices during a certain time so that you can spend time with the family. I like it. I want to control the switch, though.
Well, somebody's going to have to.
Well, there's only so much you can take, and sometimes you just want to flip the switch back on and say, play your devices, whatever. Great idea, buddy. I like it. Speaking of flipping switches, I was flipping through Netflix on Sunday, and I stumbled across a show called Trash in Paris. Or no, wait a minute. That's not right. Maybe it was Clash in Paris. That's what it was. And so we're a good 8 days removed from that. But I did want to go back and talk a little bit about it because I didn't think all of it was so bad. Now, you and I might disagree on what was good and what was bad there. So let's just start with one of the worst gimmicks in wrestling, the man, who's a woman, Becky Lynch. But it was inevitable. She was going to join the Vision or whatever. I think they stole that from Perfect Vision out of WFC. But she joined the Vision or the Visionaries or whatever it is. Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and I guess still Paul Heyman, in a very, very emphatic way. And then, of course, Becky had a lot of words and laying of hands on CM Punk on the Raw last week. Which we all know, and in WWE even accidentally, I think, let the cat out of the bag, that this is just leading to CM Punk, AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, probably at WrestlePalooza Bubblegum or something, whatever that show is going to be called.
See, and this is why I don't want men and women wrestling and mixed tag teams.
Why is that?
Inevitably, a man's going to lay hands on a woman. I'm not saying that women are not tough, ladies, so don't send Jody any emails for letting me say that. All I'm saying is accidents happen.
Well, The direction that the WWE seems to go, the envelope they seem to push now that they're on Netflix, who knows? Who knows? We're kind of reverting back to a former time that a lot of people enjoyed, which was the Attitude Era. I could have done without it. I don't need to see it again. So we'll see. We'll see how that unfolds. And, I know, of course, we record this show before SmackDown, so we don't know what happened Friday night. They may have very well already announced the match. I know CM Punk said he was going to go to SmackDown. It's in Chicago. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened there, but at this point, we don't know. But it's going to happen because somebody at the WWE shop.com site dropped a tweet that said, of course, we're going to have AJ Lee merch. Oops. That's what you get when you let somebody run your social media program that has no clue about the world of professional wrestling. WWE ought to know better. Now, you said, Mike, they did it on purpose.
I absolutely did.
Well, you know what? If that's the case, then the WWE is about as dumb as a box of rocks. And we've already established that they are. But there would be no gain. There would be no gain in letting that cat out of the bag. I mean, part of the greatness of wrestling swerves is how much you can keep it a secret. And yes, it's not a secret because everybody's anticipating we're waiting on it. But to actually have it confirmed kind of lets the air out of the balloon, I feel. And so if they did it on purpose, that's even dumber than if they did it by accident.
Speaking of dumb, you and I had a difference of opinion on a match. And I have no idea why you and I have a disagreement on this.
At Clash in Paris, I personally thought the John Cena Logan Paul match was a good match. You just don't like John Cena and you don't like Logan Paul, so you automatically think they don't have a good match.
Well, when somebody hits you with 4 attempts at 3 different finishers, and you're still standing there like, I'm gonna win it. He took what? 4 attitude adjusters, 3 styles clashes, and a partridge in a pear tree. And Logan Paul's still like, I caught you, Cena. I caught you.
I guess.
The sport.
Now that I totally agree with. I'm sick and tired of finishers being effective until PLEs, and for some reason, then all of a sudden they're not. That I agree with. But I mean, for what it could have been, it was an okay match. I was okay with it. It's what I expected.
Okay. I'm not going to say it's good, though.
It was a good match. I mean, I thought it was a good match. It was what I expected out of the John Cena retirement tour, honestly. That whole 4 months of him being heel that the WWE is desperately trying to erase from our memories, although it's seared in our brains and like a train wreck or something. That is not what I expected, and it was totally mishandled, misbooked, misused. It was awful, and so this is the kind of match I was expecting on the retirement tour. And so we'll see where John Cena goes from here. And then I think what we're going to end up having is to excommunicate a chief from the tribe. Oh, wait, we don't have to because now he's out indefinitely. Here I go. I'm going to get on this rant again, Mike, because I can't stand it. I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want Roman Reigns to ever come back. It's not because I don't like the character. It's not because I don't think he can work. It's because I'm sick and tired of being excited about him being here, and then he goes off and it goes on a sabbatical for 4 months. I'm sick of it. Just stay away. I don't want you back. Either you're going to work for the WWE or you're not going to work for the WWE. And that goes for Roman Reigns, that goes for Brock Lesnar, and that goes for any other superstar who works out a contract where they're able to be off for 4 to 5 months at a time. Give me a break. It's ridiculous.
Are you not for capitalism? Are you not for free enterprise, Mr.
I am not for people coming onto my television telling me that they are the GOAT, that they are the best there is, they are the tribal chief, and then they're only wrestling 4 months out of the year. If you're going to work, work. If you're not, get off my TV and let's move on and let somebody else step into that role. Give me a break. Rant over. I think Triple Paul's running out of ideas too. Poor Triple Paul. The creativity of the WWE is not what it used to be. I think my man's struggling. I really do. And
maybe that's a long-term swerve, is a month or so down the road from behind the curtains. I'm the one that's been calling the shots. Hi, Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
That will be the very day that I unsubscribe from Netflix, and well, I'm not subscribing to ESPN for $30 a month. I can promise you that. That'll be the day that I am done with the WWE forever, and you'll have to carry this portion of the show.
No,
Speaking of the show, we'll just sit quietly for 10 minutes, and then we'll go on to the next part of the show. And speaking of the next part of the show, we're going to talk about the WFC coming up right after these messages. Stay tuned. Hello, wrestling fans. The gentleman Jody Powell here. And I want to put you onto two, not one, but two YouTube channels that you need to check out. First, Wrestling for Christ WFC, right here. Check it out. Every episode of Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour up until the last week's episode is on that channel. And then Falls Count Anywhere 323, me and Mike talking it out right here on Abundant TV and YouTube. Check it out. Welcome back, fans, to Falls Count Anywhere. And now it's time to dig into the world of Wrestling for Christ, the WFC. And of course, this past Saturday, a very special Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour saw a recap of King of the Mountain, Mike. And I tell you, there's some new things coming out of the aftermath of King of the Mountain that I want to talk about. And the first one is, quite frankly, an injustice, Mike. It's an injustice that happened at King of the Mountain. And what I'm talking about is the World Tag Team title match. As you know, Perfect Vision was taking on The Enlightened. And I've had conversations with The Enlightened. I've had the interview with The Enlightened. They talked about who they were and why they were here and what they were wanting to accomplish. A little bit about this light that they're talking about. And it felt a little, I'll be honest, Mike, it felt a little cultish. But then the match happened. And I started to see a little bit about what Jedediah was talking about in terms of Perfect Vision. At the end of that match, Perfect Vision got the pin. But they didn't pin the legal man, Mike. They didn't pin the legal man. And now, coming up this Saturday on Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour, The Enlightened has to take on another tag team in the WFC to qualify as the contenders for the tag team title match. And it just doesn't seem right. I'll be honest with you. Go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty, but ask yourself this. Impose it to your apparently new quasi, perhaps soon to be allies or whatever they are.
Oh no, I'm not saying that.
Okay, but anyway, ask Jedediah and Zeb Pike and Homer or whatever the jabroni names are. Ask them who counted the pinfall.
Oh,
was
no
it the
question.
other member? Was it the other member of Perfect Vision? No, it was a licensed and sanctioned referee by WFC.
Correct.
If
No
you don't
question.
like the count, pull the ref out.
Listen, you are 100% spot on. It counts in the record book. So does Barry Bonds hitting more home runs than Roger Maris. And that record's bogus too.
Another topic for another time.
Well, anyway, yeah, another topic for another time. But just because something is recorded into the record books doesn't mean that it's right. And I got a bone to pick with, imagine this, the Duchess. If she thinks that, I know, right? Shocking. But if she thinks the Enlightened does not deserve an automatic rematch at the titles, she is not the wrestling mind that I thought she was. And she's all, but she's not one to align herself with Perfect Vision. So this is all like very interesting, very consuming for me. I've listened to Jedediah. He talked about the first time they faced Perfect Vision and how he got hit with the Enlightened Championship belt. claiming it was John Matthews that hit him. And you know, I remember it being Brother David, their manager, missing John Matthews and hitting Jedediah with the belt. But am I suffering from a Mandela effect? Did that actually happen? I'm not sure. But what I am sure of is that no doubt Perfect Vision pinned the wrong guy here. And it just seems like our good champions, Perfect Vision, seem to be cutting some corners and taking some shortcuts. That's all I'm saying. I'm not accusing them of doing anything nefarious, but it just seems awfully convenient for them to be able to pick up a win this way and then seemingly move on, and the Enlightened have to be shuffled to the back of the line. I don't know. I don't think that's right. I kind of side with Jedediah here. I see where he's coming from. I really do. So that came out of all of the King of the Mountain aftermath. Of course, we've got family drama with Loaded Guns Ken Magnum and his son being the last one in the King of the Mountain match, and Ken Magnum saying, son or no son, whew, tossed him over the top rope. Out of here, Ken Magnum. Of course, our Chris Thunder Anderson Memorial Golden Ticket holder. And I know this coming up this Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour, Ken Magnum will be in attendance. We will hear from Ken Magnum. We will also hear from his son, Xander. So that'll be interesting. But certainly a lot of fallout coming out of King of the Mountain. A lot will happen this Saturday as we head into September to Remember with the WFC. And we deal with the aftermath of King of the Mountain. That coming up Saturday night, 6 p.m. on Abundant TV, Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour. I'll tell you something else that's coming up, Mike. It's our favorite part of the show. Finding Tomorrow, fans. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When Wrestling for Christ visits the Philippines, we bring more than just wrestling. We bring the love of Jesus Christ. Our mission extends beyond the ring. We hold vacation Bible schools, run basketball and youth camps, and visit villages to share the gospel, offering hope and encouragement to those in need. Since 2017, Wrestling for Christ has seen thousands of professions of faith and lives changed simply by sharing the love of Jesus. In 2025, we're planning to return for television tapings on Abundant TV to reach even more lives. We need your support to continue this vital work. Help us bring hope to the Philippines.
Scan the QR code to donate today and go to our website to learn more about this ministry.
Thank you and God bless.
Hi, I'm Chris Whaley, author, former professional wrestler, pastor, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Jeff Dixon. I am a pastor, I'm a speaker, I'm an author as well, but we have something else we do together.
Yes, we have a great program called The Clash.
Clash?
And it comes on every Monday night at 7:30 on Abundant TV.
Well, I want to watch it, and we'd love for you to watch it too. So if you wouldn't mind, join us on Monday night, and we'll see you at The Clash.
At The Clash, and it's always a battle, so come join us.
Welcome back, fans and viewers, or viewers and fans of this show, and especially Finding Tomorrow. You know, we've been doing a series on the armor of God, you know, the belt of truth, making sure you have that wrapped around you. The breastplate of God's righteousness to protect your chest. And Jody, what's the third one that I'm missing here?
The shoes.
The shoes. Ready to take to spread the gospel of the good news of Jesus. Now, this next one, it actually ties, I think, in with what I was theoretically inventing that we started the show with. It's the helmet of salvation. And you're saying, Mike, what does an EMP or an FMP have to do with the helmet of salvation? Well, a lot of thoughts go through people's minds. A lot of thoughts that shouldn't. Yeah. So if you're in a situation where you're tempted, or you know you'll be tempted if you're alone, turn on that FMP and shut some of those things out.
That's good.
Help yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Jody, you came with a pretty frightening number, and it'll help, I think, if our if our listeners know that they're not alone in this.
Yeah. So, Mike, according to the Barna Group, which is, a very sound research group, particularly with Christian statistics, 67% of pastors in the United States have reported having struggled with pornography at some point. 2/3. So you're standing in a group of 3 pastors, 2 of them have struggled with it, admittedly.
Yeah.
And that all start, and so, Mike, I hear this a lot, and it's just, I don't know, it just kind of grades on my nerves a little bit for people to say things like, well, you can think it, but don't say it, or you can think it, but don't do it. That's ridiculous. That's implying that the sin lies within the action. Well, sin, if you go back to the garden, Mike, the serpent did not hand the apple to Eve. What did the serpent do? Whispered in the ear.
Yep.
It got into the mind, and then the action happened.
That's great.
So to sit there and say things like,
great thing that you brought up.
You don't think it. It's not okay to think it. That's as sinful as doing it. And so I love that analogy. Turn the F&P off and shut off the source of temptation and close the ear. And that's why I think this is a helmet of salvation. It's putting on the salvation so that your mind is protected. And if you think about helmets, they go over the ears as well, right? So guard your ears from the whispers of the demons of this world. And if you think I'm crazy saying that there are demons whispering in your ear, then you haven't been paying attention, because there are.
Now, I like that you took it back to that idea of it's okay if I think it as long as I don't do it. Well, Jody, somebody a lot more famous and a lot more powerful and wiser than you and I had something important to say about that. For those of you not familiar, Jesus did a sermon called the Beatitudes. You can look it up in Matthew 5, 6, and 7. And the first part, he's all like, blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And then he turns it up to a different level or to a different subject. And one of those is thoughts. He says, if you have thought about lusting for a woman in your heart, you have committed adultery. Mm-hmm. If you hate your brother without cause, you have committed murder. Mm-hmm. But Jody, there's a verse, it's Romans 12 we were talking about earlier. Yeah. That said what we should do to prevent that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so, Mike, the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear that is that word conform. Do not follow what the world is saying is normal, or what the world is saying is tolerant or is okay, or any of these things. Do not allow yourself to be brought into this idea that the world gets to set the expectations of what is right and what is wrong. And then the verse goes on to say the second word that comes to my mind, transformed. And it takes me back to my childhood because I love Transformers. I love the cartoon, the little cars and stuff that would turn into robots. Turn your mind into the mind of Christ. And, and I think that's what the verse is calling us to do here.
Speaking of transforming your mind into Christ, there's a verse in 2 Corinthians 10, I believe it is. It says, take captive every thought and bring it into the obedience of Christ.
Yep.
So if you're having trouble controlling your thoughts, and I would expect 100% of all men do, and 100% of all women do. Sorry, ladies, it's universal.
It's true.
Then turn it over to Jesus. You'll take a thought. Say, oops, Lord, sorry, you can have it. Or oops, Lord, you can destroy it, however you want to look at it. But the more you do that, the easier it becomes. A habit once formed, good or bad, it's hard to break.
It's just not okay to harbor sinful thoughts, sexual or non-sexual. It's just not okay to harbor those in your mind. It ultimately, at the end of the day, those thoughts turn into actions, and they may not turn into the actions that you think they would turn into, but they could turn into actions nonetheless that are just as equally sinful and just as equally anti anything that anti anything around your salvation, around the righteousness that you've been given through the death of Christ on the cross. And it comes out in a lot of different ways. Having these thoughts in your mind, whatever they are, and then not allowing yourself to go through with those thoughts could produce a lot of anger, and you could lash out in anger in very uncharacteristic ways. And suddenly you're committing a different sin because you're harboring thoughts of a sinful action that has you in a vice. So how do you get out of that, Mike? How do you stop? And I know that's the question that a lot of men and women are asking right now. Say, listen, I'm harboring these thoughts. How do I get them out of my head?
A lot of prayer. There's an old computer term, garbage in, garbage out. Right? So watch what you watch.
Yep.
Watch what you read. But you need a replacement. I understand that. Read your Bible.
Yeah.
Find decent family entertainment to watch. But that's not enough. And Jody and I have talked about this. You're not here alone.
Mm-hmm.
You're not meant to do this alone. Here's the finding tomorrow. Find someone tomorrow. Find them tonight, depending on what time zone you're watching this in.
Yep.
And call somebody up and say, hey, Brother Joe, I'm struggling in this. Can you help hold me accountable? Chances are, to be honest, Joe's going to say, well, I'm struggling in this other area. Can you work with me on that? Works the same for Sister Mary and Sister Jane.
Yep.
All you have to do is ask. Because if you don't ask, they can't say no. And they sure as heck can't say yes.
Mike, when out on the Serengeti,
yeah,
and when the lion is chasing the herd of gazelles, what will the pride do? They will isolate one. And the evils of this world are no different. The demons of this world are no different. They will try to isolate you. That is why we have to reach out to one another. And it doesn't have to be your pastor. You don't have to call your pastor. You can, if you trust him and you have a good relationship and you feel like that's something you can do, call your pastor. That's fine. But it doesn't have to be a pastor. It can be a brother and sister in Christ who you've met at a church. It can be someone that's not at your church. It can be, but what you want to be sure, you're finding someone that is truly, authentically walking the walk with Jesus Christ. The worst thing you can do is reach out to someone of this world and ask them to help you solve a problem that is from this world. So when you reach out to that brother or sister, make sure you're reaching out to that brother and sister that is walking the same walk that you are. Because you're going to find some commonalities in your struggles. And then whatever advice you receive, always take it to God in prayer first, and be sure that the advice, well-intended or not, be sure the advice is truly coming from the Holy Spirit through that person.
Good words to close this out, Jody. I think you might have a couple of more words though to wrap this show up with.
Well, two people that you can always count on to bring you a great Christian view when the clashes with the world is Chris Whaley and Jeff Dixon, because they're coming up next right here on Abundant TV. It's The Clash. Stay tuned. One thing I do know, fans, is that this never gets old.